Hey guys, it's Brant. We're doing a little video to show you a little bit more about our brand new brewer, the Curtis Gold Cup. So why don't we check it out? All right, so this is our new single cup brewer, aptly named the Curtis Gold Cup. We're gonna get to the name in a second and why it's so important. But first, what I wanna emphasize is what sets this brewer apart from any other single cup brewer in the industry. This is not a Keurig. This is not a trifecta. This isn't even a Clover. This is the first single cup coffee brewer that does American style drip filtered coffee. No other brewer can do that. Now going back to the name, the Curtis Gold Cup, I'm going to go ahead and let Jeff explain to you why that's so important, especially in regards to SCAA and their Golden Cup standards.
What we have here is a coffee brewing control chart issued by the Specialty Coffee Association of America. The lines running across the page here represent the ratio of water to coffee. The range of ratios that run through the optimum balance box on the chart range between 15:1 and 20:1. This particular chart is done for a 12-ounce cup of coffee, and that actually 12 ounces of water, which is going to yield about 10.5 ounces of coffee on this brewer. The amount of coffee using that 15:1 ratio to 20:1 ratio, the amount of coffee that we can use for a 12-ounce cup is anywhere between 18 grams and 22 grams. The percentages listed on the bottom are the extraction percentages, and then the strength measured in total dissolved solids runs up the left-hand side. The optimum dissolved solids that we're looking for a gold cup of coffee range between 1150 TDS to 1350 TDS with an extraction between 18% and 22%. What we're going to be able to do with this brewer is change the time that the water's in contact with the coffee and the temperature and the grind size to be able to move our plot point around to get it right in the center of this box. To enter the programming mode on the Gold Cup brewer, just tap the Curtis emblem 5 times. The access code, similar to our Generation 3 models, is 1234. Okay. You'll notice that a lot of the programming functions and options in the programming mode are very similar to Generation 3, so it'll be very easy to get used to. Just tap the brew settings button and you'll enter into the mode where you can change the pulses on individual cup sizes. It's easy to switch between cup sizes by simply tapping the icon for each cup. Once you select the desired cup you want to change, go ahead and touch the pulse button. Unlike our Generation 3 models and our larger Generation 4 models, this is different in that you don't have an option to brew by volume or brew by time. You actually have to set the potting level of the cup by the on time using the pulses. A 12-ounce cup of coffee or 12 ounce of water poured over the grounds is going to be an on time of about 27 seconds. So as you're writing your pulsing program, you want to make sure that the total on times equal 27 and then use your off times to spread that out and get the contact time that you're looking for. So just like the E function on Generation 3 models, you just go ahead and select the pulse number. This one's set at number 1. The on time, just for this sake, we'll put at 5 seconds and an off time of say 20. Once you've selected that, you just move on to pulse number 2. Do the same thing until you go through 3, 4, until you reach 27 seconds of on. You can go ahead and save that, and now your pulsing is selected. To change the temperature on this model, we can go to Control Settings, Temperature Settings, and you can change the temperature in 1 degree increments all the way from up to 206 degrees. The other variable that we have to control where that point is plotted on the control chart is the grind size. The smaller the grind of coffee, the more surface area is going to be in contact with the water, therefore yielding a higher TDS and better extraction. The coarser the grind, the less of those variables are going to be in there. We've had success both with a coarse earned grind as well as a finer grind using this brewer. It just depends on the coffee, and it'll be up to you when working with your customers to play with the different grind sizes so that you can hit that optimum Gold Cup standard.
All right, now that Jeff has refreshed your memory on what SCAA's Golden Cup standard is, why don't we go ahead and jump into the brewer. As you can see right off the bat, Generation 4 technology, we did not want to antiquate ourselves and stick Generation 3 technology into this. This is going to be one fine-tuned coffee brewing machine. Really cool thing about Generation 4 is not that it's a touchscreen. Everything is a touchscreen now. GPS, your phone, your kids' little computers. What's really cool about this is the computing power that it has. As Jeff showed you in jumping into the programming, it has icons. You don't even need to be able to read to be able to program this machine. That's what makes it so cool. So let me talk to you about the brew cones really quick. These are really cool brew cones. Let me tell you a little story of when I was at the Roasters Guild retreat, unveiling this brewer to 200 eager roasters. I forgot to ship filters. So in the middle of West Virginia, I ran to Walmart and picked up standard number 4 filters, because these are the filters that we designed our machine around, because you can find them anywhere. So with that said, go ahead and take a look at our clear brew cone here, just so you can see a little bit more about what's going on. This shape and geometry is completely patented because it took a few years to design to get it just right. If you notice the striations on the side and on the bottom, those keep the filter off the sides and off the bottom to allow for true extraction. Also, you can see in here the siphon cap. That's one of the really cool things about this brew cone, is that it has a siphon technology that we've patented. What that means is that when you first pre-infuse your coffee and you run water over it, the water level has to hit a certain point before the coffee starts to come out of the cone. What that allows for is a true pre-infusion. Now, we have pre-infusion on our brewers right now, but it's not a true pre-infusion. What it is, it's a washing of the coffee because it hits the grounds, runs right through them, and comes out. What this siphon allows for is it allows for a water level to get to a certain point but not exit the brew cone, which means that those beans really do get to hydrate and get a full bloom, which is what third wave roasters and coffee shops are all about. Then once you start the brew cycle again, that's when there's enough pressure behind the siphon to create that siphon and pull the liquid out. So in addition to ground coffee that you put into a number 4 filter, we've also designed a filter mainly for the OCS market that uses pillow packs. You can use either round or square pillow packs, like this one. You just go ahead and place it in there, flatten it out, and stick it in. Now, this doesn't have siphon technology, but just using these simple grooves, what that allows for is for it to create a mini vacuum which will fully extract the water and the coffee out of that pack, which will give you a better tasting cup of coffee than you'll find in any hotel coffee machine. Also, we have on the side, as standard, a hot water faucet so that you can either preheat your cup or you can do tea. A really neat feature that we've also built in is the pre-wet filter. If you go into third wave coffee shops like Stumptown or Intelligentsia, they always pre-wet their filter because what they're doing is they're washing the paper taste off. So by holding down this button, what you do is you go ahead and pour a bit of water over the filter. What you do by washing the filter is you eradicate the paper taste from the finished brew. Another neat feature that goes hand in hand with our Generation 4 technology is the ability to upload not only recipes and software, but also firmware through USB. Now the question is, what is firmware? And the really neat thing is that that's rev levels. Right now we're on rev level A1738 on our alpha board, and each time you change that rev level, you need to switch the board. What the USB allows us to do is do that rev level update through a single file. And that USB port is right here on the machine. All you do is open that up. You take the USB that you've got in your briefcase, you go to the website, you download that file, put it onto the USB drive, stick it into the machine will reset, and there you go. You now have Rev 2.17 or whatever we just released. One of the coolest things that the USB port allows us to do is it allows us to program custom recipes into the brewer. So say you have a large chain with 2,000 stores all across the country and they want to roll out a new coffee. but they don't want to have to send a tech out to 2,000 stores to program that coffee. So what they do is they log into their own unique web portal, program the parameters of the recipe in, they email that file, they snail mail that file. However they want to get it to their managers, they can. They take the USB drive that they've got in their briefcase, they plug it into their computer, they download the file, they walk up to the machine, they plug it in, and boom, there are your custom recipes. When we go to full launch with this brewer, what it's going to have is the very first screen is not going to be like this. The very first screen is going to be a bunch of custom recipes that people are able to choose. If they want to brew an Ethiopian Sidamo, they hit Ethiopian Sidamo, and then they hit the cup size. Because each different roast is going to have its own unique recipe, and each size of each unique roast is going to have its own unique recipe. So again, going back to the Generation 4 technology and the computing power, it really is endless, the amount of recipes that you can program in. We're no longer limited to 6 recipes. You can go for days programming recipes. And again, in coffee shop, that is the most important thing, is to dial in each specific coffee for each specific size. Another unique factor of this brewer is that it has 2 heads. Now, it's kind of funny because it's a single cup brewer, but yet it's brewing 2 cups of coffee. One of the reasons why we designed it with 2 heads is so that if this were to go into a cafe and they had a line of people out the door, what they can do is brew 2 cups of coffee at a time. Because of the small amount of water that's flowing over the grounds in relation to the large tank, there's virtually no heat loss. The temperature remains the same from the spray head every single time. Let me go into that again. Okay, building on the USB port on the side and the recipes that you can do, one of the biggest problems that you find in a coffee shop that's doing high-end coffees in a pour-over method similar to a Chemex or a Hario is not only being able to follow the predetermined recipe each and every time, but also the consistency. If you were to walk into a high-end coffee shop in the middle of the day, that barista is going to get that recipe right almost every time because you are the one person in that coffee shop at noon. But if you were to walk into that coffee shop at 8 a.m. when there's a line of 20 people all the way out the door, that barista now has a long backlog. He's brewing with 2 kettles like this and everything's going all over. He's not weighing the coffee. He's not weighing the water weight. Everything goes crazy. With this brewer, it's all set in stone. You hit one button and it brews. Consistent every single time. You can profile this brewer to a Chemex, to a Hario, to a Clover. You can program this brewer to any of those high-end coffee brewers and get it consistent every single time, which you can't do with the others. So how we position this brewer in the marketplace is incredibly important. Yeah, it's a commercial brewer. All the components inside can be found on our other brewers. But just by looking at it, you can tell by the powder coat color to the vacuum form bezel, this is a stylized machine. However, the most important feature of this machine is that it brews a perfect cup of coffee. And that's what we want this machine to be known for, is brewing a perfect cup of coffee. So when you go out into the marketplace, yeah, talk about the components and Generation 4 technology and the reliability, but most importantly, talk about the coffee. This brews the perfect cup of coffee. It'll take your coffee and make it better. So with that, let's position it there. Let's make this the best brewer available on the market. Enough talk. Let's brew some coffee. that's one gold cup of coffee.